Hello, it's iAntonio.media coming to you for another episode of iAntonio.media from lovely Berlin on this, the 3rd of June 2025. And I'm so happy to be here. Now, I have been away for a while, I will admit. You might have noticed that, and I do apologize. But you know what? Life happens. As an independent podcaster, sometimes things just happen and, you don't really have the time to do the podcast episode. And not that I don't care about you, but I'm not going to bring you any kind of thing just for the sake of bringing you something. I have to feel inspired, I have to feel uplifted, and I have to feel as if I have something significant to share. First of all, I want to say thank you to some of my fans. This thanks particularly goes out to my friend Nadine, who implored me. Nadine said, Ian, do not give up on podcasting. You bring good topics. I like the way you speak, she said. And, she would feel a sense of loss if I stopped. Now, the break was so long that she found the need to say that to me. It really did probably appear to you that I would not be doing this again. And thanks to Nadine for that added note of confidence. And I'm happy to be here. I'm also thankful to my friend Jenny out there. Jenny is someone I met on Instagram, I think it was. I was inspired by her work. And at long last, I managed to catch up with her. And she was nice enough, understanding enough, open enough, and generous enough to do a podcast episode with me. That is gonna be a follow-up episode to this comeback, so to speak. So Jenny, you're listening, please bear with me. Thank you for the patience. As I said, life happened, and even though at the time I did promise that I would be editing and publishing our episode within 2 weeks, I just never got to it. I'm really sorry about that. Now, it fits. The time is right. Now the time is right because I feel much better. I have put myself through another water fasting, which puts me in a much better position to speak to the topic that we discussed. Now, for you out there who are listening to the episode right now, you might be wondering, who is this Jenny? Now, Jenny is this wonderful woman that, as I said, I met on Instagram. She has a way of bringing a kind of energy across in her content that just captivated me. I was very motivated by the things that she was saying, which, go into health and relationship matters as well. And also some things having to do with her own learning experience, the things that she went through. The episode we did together was put on a back burner because on my side of the pond, life happened. You might be wondering, what are some of the things that happened? Well, first of all, some of you or you might know that I've been a teacher for about 18 years now, language teacher. And that has taken me, or let's say this podcast, through many phases. First it was the English Coach podcast, and then I started Life is Feeling, Counting the Ways, for many reasons. And then I put everything together into iAntonio.media. Now, after having taught for about 17, 18 years or so, the past, I would say 2 years, slightly after COVID, I kind of got into a different kind of work constellation, which wasn't as much, let's say, self-employment as it was before. So now I have been working in, let's say, more established institutions as a permanent employee. First of all, I was in a school that was helping students who had difficulties getting their high school diplomas. And then I worked for the German Red Cross. And there I was teaching people to become early childhood educators, or what we call Sozialassistenten. Did that for about 6 months. And then I moved on to A-level English teaching. I'm at the stage now where I've been doing that for a little over, about 7 or 8 months. I feel really good and satisfied with it, fulfilled by it. It's a different kind of language training that took a lot of time to learn. The learning curve was quite I wouldn't say it was quite steep, but it was a different constellation. And I had to get into it. And now, as we speak, I have surpassed the stage where I managed to bring a set of learners through their final A level English exams. And I'm now at the stage where I can, kind of delve a little bit, dip a little bit back into my podcasting endeavor. So I am here today and I'm going to be talking to you about one thing in particular. A colleague of mine recently asked me about the benefits of water fasting. And why did he ask me that? He asked me because at the time I was in the middle of what turned out to be a 17-day water fast. And what is that? It's a period of time where you do not consume anything but electrolytes and water, right? It sounds a little extreme. You might have heard that before from my previous episodes, but it's not really that extreme, right? You drink water over that period. You do not eat anything, yes, particularly not protein and carbohydrates. And you are sure to consume electrolytes, otherwise you will die. These electrolytes are kalium, which is potassium in English, salt, and magnesium. You have to consume these as well over the period. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in serious problems. I mean, you can survive, you won't die, but it makes the whole process easier on your body. Now, again, this colleague of mine asked me what the benefits are, and I'm going to run through them really quickly so you know what you can expect in this episode. Well, first of all, water fasting, not eating for 17 days. It has metabolic and cellular benefits. That's the first thing. The second thing, mental and emotional benefits. The third, physical health benefits. There are also hormonal and purported longevity benefits. I have to find out about that. I don't know yet. There are spiritual and philosophical benefits that also tie into some political benefits. And I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can so you have an idea and you can form your own opinion as to whether this is good or bad. Now, jumping straight into the metabolic and cellular benefits. Well, first of all, there's something called autophagy. And as is written here, it says autophagy activation. Fasting triggers autophagy, a cellular cleanup process where cells recycle damaged components, potentially reducing the risk of diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's disease, right? So your body is kind of forced into this condition, well, not a condition, but a state that causes it to repair itself and to clean up things in the body that are bad or damaged or poorly replicated, like poorly replicated cells and so on, right? And that is in itself a cleansing process. It kind of aligns or parallels with what some of us know as detoxifying. Now, the other benefit is improved insulin sensitivity. Water fasting can lower, or it does lower, blood insulin levels and improves how the body handles blood sugar. Now, what happens when you're fasting? You are not consuming anything. That means there's no sugar or carbohydrates in your blood, in your body, in your muscles after a few days. The easiest thing, the quickest thing for your body to burn is sugar, right? And carbohydrates. And after a few days, it's going to be depleted. There's going to be no more glucose or glycogen or, let's say, carbohydrates in your system. And if there is none of that in your system, then your body does not have to produce insulin. And that is kind of like the goal, especially for those of us who want to lose weight. So what happens? You do not consume sugar, carbohydrates, right? So there's no reason for your body to produce insulin. And the thing is, once your body is producing insulin, you might ask yourself the question, why do you have insulin? Once your body is producing insulin, it is there to convert excess sugars or carbohydrates into fat. So you could say, once your body is producing insulin, you are in fat storage mode, right? You do not produce insulin when you're water fasting. You don't break the fast by eating protein or carbohydrates, which would trigger insulin production. And what that means is that if your body is not in fat storage mode, theoretically, it's in fat burning mode. So this is the most important aspect of water fasting for you if you're interested in losing weight or getting your body to a state where it is burning fat, right? Improved insulin sensitivity. No insulin means that you're in fat burning mode. If you're producing insulin, that means you're in fat storage mode. Now, the other metabolic benefit is increased human growth hormone, or HGH. Fasting boosts HGH, which supports fat loss and muscle maintenance and overall cellular repair. That is what is written here. Now, what that means, this production of human growth hormone also protects your muscles. Many people like to spread, they do fear mongering, saying that if you do water fasting, you're going to lose your muscle mass. And the people who are doing strength training are very scared of that. They don't want to lose their hard earned muscle. So they're not doing it. But I'm here to tell you that the human growth hormone that is produced somewhere between 200% and 1000% increase is there particularly, as I said, to maintain your muscle, right? This is something that happens, it's a bonus that happens coincidentally once you are in a fasted state. I'm going to go a little more into that later on, but that's it for now. The other thing is enhanced mitochondrial health. And again, as is here, fasting can help mitochondria function more efficiently, promoting better energy production. And I can definitely vouch for that. When I'm fasting, again, coincidentally, I feel much higher energy levels and I need less sleep, right? Now, don't ask me how that works, but no food in my stomach just means probably that my body doesn't have to burn so much energy burning food. The digestion process is quite hard on the body and it takes energy to process all of that food. Probably that's the reason or one of the reasons. But here as is written, it says here the actual mitochondria function. For those biology buffs out there, you can check that out for yourself, the function of the mitochondria. But from the little I know, it has to do, these are little parts of cells that help with energy processing and production, right? And fasting helps with that. Now, another thing that fasting does is resetting the gut biome. The gut biome is all these other things that live inside our guts that are not there just as parasites, but they are symbiotic organisms that live inside our digestive tract that help us to process and also to have access to certain nutrients. If we did not have this biome, this microbiome in our stomachs, we would not have access to some nutrients that we need. So it's actually a symbiotic relationship with these this gut microbiome, so to speak, and fasting will help to reset that. Now, another thing is mental and emotional benefits. There is a kind of mental clarity that you get when you are fasting, and some people actually do it to increase their cognitive sharpness for studying, for example. I'm going to read quickly. Many people report heightened mental focus and cognitive sharpness after the initial adjustment period. There is an adjustment period, right? Remember, I'm doing this for you. You can decide if you want to do it for yourself later on. You don't have to do 17 days as I did. You can try 24 hours and then you try maybe 48 and then 72. You can go for 4 days or a week or something. Just take it slow. But in addition to this mental clarity that you get, the state of Zen, this meditative trance-like state that you have, there is also a mood stabilization that happens. Fasting may reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression for some individuals due to a change in neurotransmitters and hormones. I can definitely vouch for that. When I was fasting, I felt much more relaxed. I felt as if I was kind of like floating through the world with no major problems, right? And a kind of a mix between humility and gratitude. I can't really describe it so well, but it was a very good existence, whereas you are aware of your mortality, you're grateful for the things you have in life, and a kind of mindfulness that just carries you through the world in a very graceful way, right? Now, I'd have to go into that. It's probably stuff for another episode. But this mood stabilization is definitely something, together with the mental clarity, the cognitive sharpness, and the mental focus. That is just something that you have to experience for yourself, right? And this ties in to the episode that is coming up next with my good friend Jenny, who has approached this, let's say, this state. She has found a way to achieve this state through other methods, right? This kind of mood stabilization and mental clarity and energy comes from your body producing what are called ketones. The state is called ketosis. And what that is when your body is forced to use fat storage, or let's say fat stores, as a source of energy, particularly for the brain. The brain is used to using glucose, right, as its source of energy. And then suddenly, after 3 days, you have no more glucose in your system. Your body, with the liver, with the help of the liver, produces ketones for the brain. And that definitely has some kind of effect that is, it improves your cognitive abilities, right, and your feeling, right? It's almost like a natural high. And it's also the reason why the first time I fasted, I wanted to do, I think it was 7 days, which turned out to 10, which turned out to 14, which turned out to 21. I did not want to stop because it felt so good. Now, the other thing that you get, which, falls under the mental and emotional benefits, is an improved sense of self-discipline. Completing a fast can strengthen willpower and build a deeper mind-body connection. That is definitely true. Those two things I just mentioned to you before, the mental clarity and the mood stabilization, and also this feeling of mindfulness and gratefulness and personal power that you feel from the ketones, the mental state that you're in, and the clarity, these definitely improve your mind-body connection. That is one of the most powerful things about it. You feel so fulfilled when you do a fast. Now, there are also some physical health benefits. For example, the obvious weight loss. When I was fasting, or during my last fast, I lost something between 0.6 and 0.7 kilos per day. Now, before we get all excited about that, half of it will come back at the end of the fast. You break your fast carefully, but half of that is going to come back. But 0.6 per day is a lot. A lot of people will find that amazing. But be warned, half of it is going to come back, and half of it is like, just water leaving the body, right? Now, the weight loss says here, obvious reduction in body weight through calorie restriction and metabolic shifts towards fat burning ketosis. Some of you, or you, have definitely heard of the keto diet, which is like protein and fat rich. Fat is a sensitive word, but it's not really fat that is making you fat, it's sugar. Fat is actually a good source of energy. You need your body to get into a fat burning state. So, ingesting fat in a keto diet, through, avocado and all that is actually quite good because it trains your body to burn fat and not to store it, right? So you have a weight loss that happens through calorie restriction, and as I said, through burning, through the ketosis, the ketogenic state of being. There's reduced inflammation. Short-term fasting can decrease markers of systemic inflammation, which is linked to many chronic diseases. Every disease that ends with the suffix itis has to do with some kind of inflammation, and fasting reduces that significantly. There's also reduced blood pressure. Some clinical trials show that extended fasting can naturally lower blood pressure. Cholesterol and triglyceride reduction. Water fasting may improve lipid profiles, lowering LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. Now, there's another episode that I did before, actually one of the most popular episodes I did. It had to do with training and weight training for men over 40. It got a lot of traction. If you're interested, you can listen to it. It had, as a guest, a cardiologist who put a little more of a medical background to this whole fasting thing. We spoke about it. We spoke about the science and we spoke about my lived experience and the other ways of knowing what the benefits are. So you might find it interesting. If you're into training and you're over 40, you can check it out. We spoke about exactly these things. And him being a cardiologist, that leads us to the other point, which says here, under physical health benefits, heart health. By reducing inflammation, blood pressure, and improving lipid profiles, fasting can contribute to better cardiovascular health. All right, again, if you want the science of it, you can check out, the episode I did with Dr. Christopher Schneeweiss, and you might find some more. I encourage you to check it out. As I said, it got a lot of traction and it got a lot of listenership. The physical health benefits also include rejuvenated skin. Anecdotal reports suggest skin can appear clearer after fasting due to the detoxification process. And I can definitely vouch for that. My skin looked better. I'm just gonna leave it as simple as that. My skin looked better after fasting. I don't know if it's because of all the water that I was drinking. I have no idea, but I can vouch for that. Again, as I said, as I like to say, there are other ways of knowing. You don't need a scientist or a doctor to tell you what is good for you, right? Not all the time. The other one here, I have two more, hormonal and longevity effects. And longevity effects, I'm just going to read them. Potential lifespan extension. No, I don't know about this for sure yet, because that was my first fast. Not my first, my fourth, sorry. And as is written here, it says potential lifespan extension in animals. Fasting has consistently been associated with longer lifespans. Human evidence, however, is still emerging. So if I'm doing this again in, 30 years, 40 years, and you feel that same kind of esprit, that same kind of power, that same kind of energy, then you will know that it worked for me. If you feel that same kind of life, then probably I can speak with more confidence about the lifespan extension potential. All right. Under hormonal and longevity effects, there is also hormonal balance. Fasting modulates key hormones such as cortisol and thyroid hormones, although results can vary depending on the fasting duration and the individual health. Now, the penultimate point here from all of this, I didn't stay too long there, but you got it. The penultimate point is the spiritual and philosophical benefits, right? Penultimate because, it's actually the second to last, and the last is going to be the political. Now, on the spiritual and philosophical benefits, it said here, enhanced mindfulness and presence. The ritual of fasting can lead to a deeper awareness of one's physical and emotional states. Spiritual growth. In many religious traditions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, for example, fasting is a tool for spiritual purification and closer connection to the divine. Now, the last one on the list is gratitude and simplicity. Extended fasting can often rekindle the appreciation for simple, everyday nourishment. Simply said, I can tell you, while I was fasting, even toothpaste tasted good. Now, what's even better is when you break this fast, the food you eat, it's much easier to eat healthily because everything tastes good. Now, maybe you heard that siren. It was typical Berlin. The police pass every now and then, or whoever, I don't know, the police or the fire brigade or whoever, but that was a siren. I hope it didn't disturb you too much. But as I mentioned before, the state of gratitude, the state of simplicity, the state of mindfulness that you feel, this Zen state that you go through, a kind of a trance effect that you have after like the third day, it's like nothing else. And as I said here, in a condensed form, this is something that you go through, and this is the kind of thing that causes you to, after you have survived, let's say, the first 3 days, you want to extend it longer and longer. That is the reason, as I said, why the first time I did fasting, I just wanted to do, 7 days, and it turned to 10 days, and it turned to 14 days, and it turned to 21 days. And the same thing almost happened the last time I did it, because my plan was to go 14 days, and I ended up doing 17. So This spiritual and philosophical benefit, or the benefits that I mentioned, also tie in to the last point I want to make for this little episode on fasting. One of the biggest problems we have in this world is the problem of overconsumption. There are certain societies that consume way more than they should. And overconsumption, the thing that we're driven to do by this capitalistic system within which many of us find ourselves, is the reason why we're having environmental problems. It is the thing that is driven by a profit driven capitalistic paradigm, right? And, I don't even want to get too much so deep into that because, that's stuff for another episode. But, fasting simply says to me, and it can say to you as well, that, you do not need to consume so much. We're driven every day to measure our status in society, to measure our wealth, to compare ourselves with others based on how much we can consume. And it's a vicious cycle that is killing the world. Now, when I do my fasting, the sense of gratitude, the sense of peace, the sense of mindfulness that is so fulfilling to me also comes from the fact that I'm actually doing something also for sustainability, right? I'm eating less, I'm consuming less, and deriving benefits from that. Now think about it. The symbolism of that is epic. Now let's think about this for a little bit. 17 days, just 17. One man, one water fast. What does that mean? Reduced food expenses, no groceries, no takeouts, no snacks during the night, nothing like that, no alcohol, no eating out, spending less money, saving, lower energy bills, less waste, greater productivity, and all of these things is nothing less than a rebellion. It's a resignation from this capitalistic overconsumption system that seeks to enslave all of us with status games and dependency. It's the perfect revenge. Now, again, this fulfillment that comes from, just stepping away from all of this eating, stuffing our faces with, for the most part, rubbish. It speaks to an ethical simplicity, a temporary, though it may be, disengagement from an industrial food system. It lowers our environmental footprint. And it's all these things that make me feel so good about it. It's all these things that make it worth doing. Now, over the past few months, I've been toying with verse, and the last few episodes I've done have been poetry, right? I've been doing a poetry series for a long time now. And this little interlude that I'm about to drop will render this episode also fitting to the poetry series, right? So it's a short one, and here we go. "17 days, a drop in the bucket, the hunger strike of the everyday citizen. I am not hungry because I am weak. I am fasting because I am free. They sell me health, then sell me illness. They tax my food, my fuel, my breath. But this hunger is mine, mine alone. I will not fuel your machine with my consumption. I will not medicate discomfort born of processed obedience. I will not shop to feel whole. Water fasting is not wellness, it's resistance. It's opting out of hyperconsumption. It's a protest against the food industrial circus. It's a strike, a silent refusal to play along. No breakfast, no taxes, no VAT on clarity, no subscription for stillness, no inflation, introspection. Let my hunger sharpen me. Let it strip away the cravings, the codependency, the capitalist spell. Let it remind me I do not need what they sell. This body is not a market. This hunger is not a weakness. This fast is not a detox. It's a revolt. I am not your consumer. I am not your algorithm. I am not your economic unit. I am sovereign, and today I eat nothing. All the benefits I listed to you before, all of these things, the hormonal longevity, the cleansing, the physical benefits, the mental benefits, the metabolic and cellular benefits, you are deriving all of these things. And guess what? It's tax-free. Isn't that fantastic? Now, I would encourage you to try it out. Try it out and see what it does for you. And for those of you who do weights training, don't be afraid of this muscle loss thing, because you know what? If you think of it logically, over the last thousands of years, we have evolved as human beings, as hunter-gatherers. And I suspect that over the significant parts, of the era of the existence of man, we were not always walking around with full bellies, right? We did not have 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals, 5 meals a day. The natural state of existence was a fasted state, whereas a state where we, weren't walking around with full bellies, right? These days with all this consumption, right? People pushing you from left to right to just eat more, keep your belly full all the time. It's not natural. The natural state is actually not having so much in your belly, right? And if you think about it, if the natural state is a fasted state, how could it be that your body degenerates from it so quickly? It can't be. That is the reason why your body produces, for example, the human growth hormone, right? To protect your muscle mass. If you're a trainer or if you're training, right, you don't have to worry about losing muscle mass because your body takes care of itself. It produces up to 2,000%, 2,000%, that was my German translation there, more growth hormone. And that is there to protect your muscle mass because your body needs that muscle to hunt for food and to gather food. That is why it's there, right? And for those of you who like to scaremonger, you're going to lose your muscle mass and all that rubbish, right? Just take it from me, from my lived experience, from my other ways of knowing that is not the case. I can tell you the last time I was fasting, which was like 15 days, or let's say, no, the time before the last time, that was 15 days. And on day 7, I was still going to the gym, still training, still getting energy just from belly fat, right? And even though I was pushing to 70% intensity, I write everything down I do in the gym. And there were some exercises where I was 20% stronger, having not eaten for 7 days or 10 days, right? And, increased strength to me does not seem to come from muscle loss. So, it's just rubbish. You just have to manage it. Make sure that you're doing what you should, drinking your water, ingesting your electrolytes, taking care of yourself, and, following the very simple short rules that you have to do. And you can even train and, not going for a walk or climbing steps. I mean, going to the gym and lifting weights. You can do that in a fasted state. And that's even gonna kind of enhance the what do you call it now? The weight loss aspect. I remember one day I went training during my fasting. It was probably about day 8 or day 9. And on that particular day, I lost 1 kilo, right? But I was stronger, right? So if that sounds like muscle loss to you, then, you're beyond me. All right. Again, let me just give you some numbers because I have some numbers here on the human growth hormone. Oh, yeah. Here it is. After 24 hours of fasting, your human growth hormone can increase by 2 to 5 times, which means 200 to 500%. After 48 hours, it goes up to 500 to 1,000%. And after 72 hours, it goes up from to somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000% of the normal baseline, right? And all of that is there to preserve your muscle mass, right? So for, if you're thinking about it, just try it. You don't have to go for 17 days, 21 days like I did, but, just start with 24 hours, right? Then start with 48 hours. 2 days is quite easy. And once you can survive 2 days, 3 days, then you can start thinking about a week or something like that. But try it first. You try it one time and you regenerate. Don't try it every single month. Maybe every 3 months you try 2-day fasting or something and see how it works for you. And after a year or so, you'll get into it, and then you can go hardcore like me, right? You can go for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks and derive all the benefits of autophagy, all the benefits of ketosis, and all the benefits of increased growth hormone as well. That works wonders for your muscles. All right. So that was it. I just wanted to go quickly into, the benefits, the political benefits as well, which is, one of the major motivators. And I hope it helped you. Feel free. If you want to ask me something about it, I'd be happy to explain. Just use the contact forms or all the modes of contact that I have on my website iAntonio.media or iAntonio.com. Find the episode and you can ask me anything from my website. Just contact me and I'll answer from my lived experience, not necessarily from science all the time, even though I do have access to some science, but also from the other ways of knowing, namely my own experience with fasting, right? So if just feel free. Now, again, I'll remind you that this episode was inspired by a friend who asked me of the benefits. I went through the benefits today. It was also inspired by my friend Nadine, who said to me, Ian, do not give up podcasting. I like your content. I like your voice. And I like the fact that you speak with a kind of, she said, devotion, which comes across in my voice. As she said, some people have said they like my voice. Some people use it to fall asleep, which is also not insulting. It's fine, as long as you derive some benefit. And, she said, just continue with it. So, this is me starting again. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks again, Nadine. And this episode was also inspired by my friend and colleague, Jenny, who, as I said, approached the benefits, let's say the mental clarity and the higher energy benefits derived from fasting through other means. And we have discussed that at length in an episode that is coming up next. So if you're interested, you can always stay tuned. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. If you are already subscribed, look out for it. It's coming up next. And it's not only about the, let's say the added benefits that can be derived through other means, right? But it's also about Jenny's move from Germany, her life as a self-employed individual, her, let's say, her business case and how, she managed to create a new life in another part of the world, life with her partners, life with, relationships and her young family and all of that. She's, as I said, someone who's just bursting with life and sunshine and has managed to inspire me from a distance, someone who I thought deserved for me to offer her a stage, right? So look out for that episode. It's coming up soon. All right, so I hope I managed to answer some of the questions. Some of the last few episodes that I've been doing have had to do with poetry reading. I'll be doing more of that for those of you who are, or let's say if you have been looking forward to that as well. There's more to come. With a small win is always a good way to begin. I am looking forward to hearing from you, and bye for now.